New fallacy alert. This is called the relative privation fallacy. This is one that you probably have never heard of before. I never heard of it before, but I noticed this pattern happening so often that when I started to put the pieces of the pattern together and look up and see is there anything that fits this description, I found that there's actually a term for it. And when you can put a word on something, it's much more easy to identify it. So let me explain to you what it is so you'll know what it is, because you've seen this before. You probably even used it. Number one, relative privation is when you say there are more important things to address than the thing that's being addressed right here. That'd be like somebody saying something like, hey, we need to do something about how high taxes are in America. And then someone else saying, well, why are we even worried about taxes when we haven't even cured cancer yet? I mean, everybody can pay taxes, but we don't cure cancer. That's a much bigger problem. That's a relative privation fallacy, because you're ignoring the point that I made in order to talk about something else that is allegedly more important than the point that I just brought up. This moves us to point number two. This is a common tactic that people use to dismiss the point at hand so they can focus on something else. You see politicians do this all the time. I just gave you an example. It'd be like if there's a debate between two politicians and a moderator asks politician A, hey, what about this scandal that you had last year within your administration? And politician A responds by saying, well, a more important question is why politician B had a bigger scandal 3 years ago inside of his administration, and nobody's talking about that. That is a relative privation fallacy, because you're ignoring the point at hand, the question you were actually asked, to try to focus on something, shift the focus to something that is allegedly bigger, more important, or more egregious than the question that you were asked. It's a common way people use to dodge the subject and dodge the topic at hand. And point number three is just a way of letting people know that this thing over here doesn't matter. Pay attention to this thing over here. And again, now that you know what it is, if you think about it, you probably see people do this all the time whenever they get caught, whenever they get stuck in a certain position, or whenever they get asked a question or presented with some information that they don't really want to address because it puts them in a tight or uncomfortable spot. They use the relative privation to change the subject. Again, politicians do this all the time. People do it in arguments all the time. And if you don't catch it and you're not keen to it, people will use this to run circles around you and avoid the topic that you're trying to get them to actually talk about. So the better you get at noticing this nonsense, the better you are at not letting people use it against you. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work with me directly. Learn how to communicate your points in a way that need to be communicated, and where you're communicating with power, with clarity, and getting it across to the people who need to hear it, and in a way that moves them to action, not just saying that it sounded good. Work on your game.